Brands are not just selling feelings, they're selling taste. Hi guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Girl of the Future. My name is Amy, and I know for a fact that my friends are very happy that I haven't put this off for another 6 months. So here we are doing this, it is happening. And if you don't know anything about me, my name is Amy. I'm an award-winning designer, trend forecaster, and overall yapper of just anything to do with design and culture. And if you like that, then I think you should stick around because I do talk a lot and I have a lot of topics. So this is gonna be fun, okay? Join me on this wild ride where I talk about a bunch of things. And if you ever want me to talk about something that you like, then you can do that. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about edible branding. This is forming part of my sensory branding series. And yes, I forgot there were 5 senses because I'm an idiot and I did not realize that I learned this in primary school. So yeah, this is the first part of the series. Today we are talking about taste, or if you read the title, brands that are good enough to eat. So we're going to be talking about what edible branding is. We're going to be talking about some case studies. We're going to be talking about how you can implement it into your brand. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of things, fun times to be had. So let's just get into it straight away. What do I mean by brands that are good enough to eat? Well, in general, just kind of using taste as a branding device or kind of a marketing device in itself is a very, very powerful tool in order to get consumers to like your product with the use of food. I think the intersection between culinary and marketing and art coming together is beautiful. As a culinary enthusiast myself, I must say that whenever I see food being used in a campaign or just in a very creative way, I'm always like, ooh, I like that. Let me add that to my Pinterest board. So I think in this regard, we're going to be talking a lot about beauty and fashion brands, and I will get into why we're doing that. But yeah, I just think that food and flavor are very powerful metaphors in branding, and they say a lot about craving and desire and kind of appealing to consumers in a way that is not necessarily normal, but still familiar enough that they're not going to be like, what's that? Which is normally a good reaction. I don't know why people don't like weird stuff. Dare a girl have some fun. But anyways, that's not the point. Let's talk about the fact that we're seeing a rise of sensory first branding. We're seeing texture, gloss, taste, vibe. The word vibe actually is going to be the end of me, but let me not say that. But overall, there's kind of just this culture around feeling this thing in all the senses. And that is something that I see a lot with Gen Z, is we're just obsessed with the aesthetic. Like, I don't want you to sell me a car. I want you to sell me this vehicle that's going to take me on a beach trip with all of my friends, and we all are listening to 70s music and the wind is blowing through our hair. And if you get where I'm going to you with this kind of narrative, it's that we want more storytelling or more subliminal ways of marketing that don't necessarily feel like you're just telling me that this is a car. Like, why do I care? You know, like, it's not really that interesting then, is it, if you're just selling me the product blatantly? So first off, we're going to talk about road beauty. And if you guys are very into the marketing scene or the beauty scene, you'll know that road beauty just got sold to Elf Cosmetics, which I personally think is a very smart idea because she's still got creative rights. And when I say her, I mean Hailey Bieber. She has still got some creative rights. She has still got some ownership. She has still got some stake in the business, which is a very smart move, not only for a celebrity brand, but just as a brand owner in general. So I'm gonna give her 10s. Okay, I'm gonna give her 10s because honestly, what a smart move. Elf is a good brand to partner with. It works. You know what else works though? Her branding and her use of food within her branding is amazing, and actually the reason why I decided to make this entire podcast episode really as my first one, because she has inspired people to use food as a way to market their beauty or fashion products. I'm not saying she's the creator of this, but I am saying that she's made it popular within this decade. When I think of Rhode, okay, and I'm not a consumer of these products, right? I think of 3 things. I think of that phone case that everybody had. I think of the fact that she had like a scandal a while back with stuff, people basically saying that the products were grainy. And the third thing I think of is that she has an excellent use of desserts and foods within her campaigns. The third one being the one that I think about the most, okay? I think the phone case thing is genius as well. I think that was very cute. But I don't think about the second one either. I just think about the fact that she's just really good at using food as a marketing device to make her products seem more appealing. You know, I'm looking at these products, man, and I'm like, wait, so you're telling me that your peptide lip balm, whatever it is, tastes, or more so in this case, smells or feels like a warm marshmallow straight off the fire. And I just think there's something really nice about that, because I mean, it could necessarily not smell like that, it could necessarily not feel like a warm marshmallow, but there's just something about pairing that imagery with your product that just evokes maybe a feeling of nostalgia, or maybe it evokes a feeling of just warmth and comfort that I necessarily wouldn't have gotten if you just placed it on a plain background. And I think just from an art direction perspective, I felt it was just very interesting that she decided to use desserts, because once again, beauty products are often, they have scents that are more dessert-like. Okay, you're not gonna find a burger scented lip gloss. Now, I know there probably is a burger scented lip gloss somewhere in this world, because this world is full of many amazing, strange, grotesque, wonderful things. However, I just think that dessert and beauty and fashion and just overall skincare goes hand in hand, because desserts are often associated with indulgence, and that is the same thing for beauty. So I just think that even though the product may not share the same attributes as the thing that it's being advertised with, I still think it's something that I may just buy based on the fact that it's being paired with that specific imagery. And that's kind of where I said in the beginning that brands aren't selling feelings that much anymore. They're selling as well taste. Taste is something that a lot of people can get behind, because people love food. And that's like an honest, obvious fact. People really, really love food. I mean, man, I love food. Okay, if you give me, this beautiful imagery of an ice cream sundae, and you maybe give me a hair care product, the first thing I'm going to think of is either that smells like an ice cream sundae, or it feels beautiful and creamy and luxurious, and I just want to buy into that. As a consumer, I want to buy into this beautiful, decadent, dessert-like thing, because, beauty is something that is so intimate, okay? It's going onto your body, and you want it to feel luxurious. You want it to feel like this thing that really just, complements you as a person, whether it's through smell, whether it's through texture, or just kind of the customer experience in general. So yeah, I really think that, let me just talk about this as well. Celebrity partnerships is something that I do want to cover in another episode sometime. But I just think her way of using Gabriette, who is quite popular, I think more so with Gen Z audience, and kind of using her with like this cake branding, cherries and all of these beautiful things, I just think it's so cool, because she didn't take a celebrity endorsement and completely strip away her brand for the sake of it. She took her branding's creative direction and she merely added that person into that world. Now, when we talk about brand world building, it doesn't always have to be this grandiose thing. I feel like when we talk about brand world building, we're talking about this, like, the storyline and this plot line, and there's like hectic things going on, and it's like, it's very much giving the Louis Vuitton Takashi Murakami Zendaya thing. That's like a very maybe obvious example of like world building. You're really getting immersed into this, this landscape. Sometimes world building is as easy as having a consistent imagery or positioning within your branding. And I feel like Gabriette stepped into the world of Rhode by the use of the cake. She didn't overshadow the brand did not overshadow her. It worked in tandem, and I think that's something really, 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 really cool, because I love it that they didn't alienate her completely from the brand's imagery of using food. They kind of brought her into that, but they also still kept her edge and they still kept her flair. So I think definitely when it comes to celebrity partnerships, we're going to be seeing a lot more authentic partnerships that don't just feel like we slapped a celebrity and slapped a product together and decided that those two were going to coexist even though there's no correlation between them. And I think also a really good example of that is Skims. Not going to be talking about Skims in this video though, even though I really want to. Video, audio, I'm not sure where you guys are listening or watching this at. But Skims is a really good example of kind of bringing a celebrity into the world without fully alienating them from the product or taking away from their essence. And talking about essence, or vanilla essence, I think some countries call it extract, lol. We're going to be talking about Lush. Lush is actually a fantastic example of using, scent and texture as taste. Now, I am an avid Lush user, not sponsored at all, would love Lush to sponsor me because I actually am genuinely in love with the brand and I have been for the last decade. But their packaging and just overall their the way that they market things is very reminiscent of food. And, like even the actual tubs as well. It feels like the type of tubs you would find in the supermarket, or, the way that they name products like Honey, I Wash the Kids for one of their body washes. Like they're using honey and cream and dream and these food imagery words that just make me want to bite into the product, not literally because you will get poisoning. I don't know if you'll get poisoning from Lush products. They are natural, but I would highly suggest that you don't ingest any of your body wash right now. But this beautiful tie in between not only, just having food imagery, but kind of having words like taste and having words like drizzle and caramel kind of, enmeshed into your brand, that I think is something that we can really also take from as well. Because these brands aren't just asking you to buy. They're asking you to bite. They're asking you to really buy into that concept of it being like food. I mean, to be honest, right? Let me give you a clear example of that. I have a body wash that smells exactly like chocolate mousse, and I'm telling you, I have to fight the urge not to eat this body wash whenever I get into the shower. It is quite a spectacle, I may say so myself, because the first time I smelled it and the first time I saw kind of the advertising pictures for it on the Lush website, I was like, yes, I need this in my life right now. I don't care. It's amazing. I want to smell like this. I want to feel like this. This is so cool. And that, I feel, is something that not only, made me feel really good, but it also kind of gave me this this feeling of tasting without even, obviously ingesting the product. And I think that's one thing that I will say Lush has really aced, is they have taken their product and without even having to overcomplicate it, they've stated what the ingredients are, and they've kind of made you want to crave this product in a way that you would crave food. And obviously most of the products are made with, a lot of cocoa or actual ingredients that are in food as well. But besides that, I just think it's really nice to see when a brand has made it part of their identity as a whole. And I think that's why I said, Hailey Bieber was not the first to do it, but she definitely is a notable figure within this decade, or within this kind of space of advertising that we're in right now, to use food. And I would say Lush is maybe a more older example that hasn't really gotten much credit for it, that uses food in a way that is just very palatable, no pun intended, to their audiences. And now we get into the copycats. I am by no means coming for these brands, okay? I'm not gonna come and clock somebody for no reason, because I am a user of Fenty Beauty. I have not used Glossier. They are not available in South Africa as far as I know, which is where I am basically speaking from. But Fenty Beauty recently used food imagery within their advertising. Like, I think it was like cherries in it. Like Fenty Beauty used like cherries within their marketing. And I just think that is like such a beautiful, succulent way of getting people to like your products. It's beautiful, it's fresh, it's like, I think, okay, desserts, one thing. Fruit, on the other hand, something that has been used time and time again. And it overall can just give your brand this element of like a pop or a freshness that maybe wasn't going to exist there in the past, So yeah, we have Fenty Beauties, we have Glossier. This is kind of one of those the chicken or the egg come first type of situations, because once again, I don't have as much experience with Glossier outside of seeing it on Tumblr as the brand that all the it girls used to use, and a brand that still now to this day is still culturally relevant with the more younger audiences. But I just think there's something really cool in, having branding that is very like creamy and milky and dreamy and just soft. Because I feel like obviously Fenty has gone for this beautiful, vibrant, cherry, fresh look, whereas Glossier has gone for like a very balmy, body butter whipped, more like an ice cream, dreamy type of effect. And I think you can definitely fall on different sides of the spectrum with this. So yeah, I think when it comes to just these brands, like I said, obviously we talked about copycats and I said them very lightly, but I think that, imitation is the biggest form of flattery. And once again, using food in branding is not anything new, but the way in which people have reinvented it is what makes it really, really cool. So, I mean, let's get into kind of just high fashion and edible aesthetics. I think one of the most notable things that has come up kind of now in recent years is jacquemus and that lovely butter and toast imagery that they used in a campaign. I don't know who the heck was in that room when they decided to literally put the jacquemus logo on butter, but I would like to personally thank that person because I thought that was so cool. I thought that was so cool. I thought that was so interesting. That was very fresh, very, very fantasy, very much also giving Eat the Rich, which is very ironic considering it is a luxury brand. But it was like very like fashion accessory, dare I say, the whimsicality that you kind of see in Moschino campaigns. If you know anything about Moschino is just a brand that plays a lot with just imagery. I know they did like a McDonald's collaboration eons ago. Not me acting like I'm super old, but like I remember from the 2010s there was a McDonald's campaign that they did. They were just a brand that often plays around with these type of things and really goes out the box. And I think Jacquemus, when they did that with the butter and the toast, I was very much like oh, this is very nice. Like we really, stepping it up. And I think like, why is fashion leaning into food a lot? It's accessibility, it's irony, it's symbolism, it's something new. But I also think that there's a difference between, tasteful advertising and obviously actual tasty advertising, no pun intended, in this type of branding. And I find it just really funny, cute, fresh, and something that I would like to see a little bit more with brands is kind of just playing with things, because I mean it's literally butter. Like it's butter, guys. It's literally the most simple thing, butter on toast, but for some reason slapping a logo on it just made it just even more interesting. So now we're kind of gonna get into the part of the segment where I talk about why food works in branding. And yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say it's emotional. Food is safety for people. Food is a basic need, but food is also pleasure, like I said, indulgence. And it's nostalgia, it's memory, okay? Sometimes, we smell something and it smelled like something that we smelled when we were 9 years old and we were at a park. Sometimes we taste something and it tastes like the ice cream that you used to have when you would play I don't know, PS2 with your cousins when you guys were having a sleepover at age 7. And I think there's just something very multi-layered about using food as a tool for nostalgia and for indulgence, because you are tapping into something that connects a lot of people. And it's often a really cool tool to use when you want to engage with the general public. Because yes, we do have segmented, target audiences that we really going for. You have your people, but I think if you really want to dip your toes into being more mainstream or more for the people as a whole, food is a really nice, easy, I say easy very lightly because you can still mess this up. It is advertising after all. There is a way to mess these things up. It's a very nice way to connect with an audience that perhaps would have maybe overlooked your brand. And once again, I come back with this thing of, are you just going to slap your brand onto a white background, or are you going to use it in a way that creates a story? Once again, storytelling, very important. Food is multisensory, okay? Visuals and texture and flavor just makes content that people want to crave. Once again, back to Lush. They have this beautiful texture. You're smelling this thing. It's gorgeous. You feel like you're eating chocolate without even ingesting the product. And it's just feeling like you are, indulging in something without even necessarily, and I mean, like going back to Road, you're indulging in something with your eyes. You aren't even, eating this thing, but yet somehow you feel satisfied because you've just looked at this beautiful advertising that uses it in a really cool way. It's also cultural because food is a part of our identity. Food is always popping up somehow in trends. The culinary world as a whole is just this big, amazing world that as marketers, I feel we constantly need to be in touch with. I urge always younger, advertisers, students to be in touch, with the fashion world, be in touch with the culinary world, because those worlds often interlink with each other. We have seen time and time again the intersection between food and advertising, food and fashion, food and beauty, food in just products in general. There are so many beautiful ties that we can kind of make from this. And I think that brands that tap into taste tap into the truth. You cannot fake a flavor. You cannot fake a feeling. You cannot fake a texture or a smell, because those things inherently are ingrained within us. The taste of a creme brulee, and I say creme brulee because it was one of my favorite desserts for a very long time, and I think one of the best desserts I've ever tasted in my life. But the taste of creme brulee is something that I feel, if I were to see it paired with something, I would already be tasting it without even tasting it and just looking at that product. But food is something that is so intimate to us as humans, whether it's something as simple as a packet of chips, or whether it's something as grandiose as steak tartare or caviar, whatever that may be. Nobody is looking at the same food with the same feelings. That mac and cheese that you saw over there could literally just be something that you put in the microwave and ate because you had to quell your hunger. For somebody else, it's their grandmother's recipe that has been passed down from generation to generation. That was very, very grandiose of me to say as a whole, but you get where I'm going with this. There's always going to be a different connotation for different people when it comes to food, but it's a way to kind of unite consumers, even if they know absolutely nothing about your brand. So, how can brands use this? Naming products with food language, like I said. Drizzle, sugar, velvet, make people feel like they're tasting something that they've tasted before. I mean, for example, I would rather prefer to buy a product that is called Sugar Crush over a product that is called Red 049222 ABC 123. Because, I mean, honestly, if somebody chooses that, then I mean, like, I'm not going to judge you, girl. But, like, at the same time, I want something that feels indulgent, luxurious, something that I'm really going to sit with and be like, oh, wow, this is very nice. This is making me feel cool. Like, I just want somebody to, like, come up to me and be like, what eyeshadow are you using? And you're like, oh, it's nothing. It's just Cherry Serenade, Deep Rouge, or I don't know. I'm literally spitballing a name out here, but you want it to be something that is just so luxurious and just full of this feeling of dessert, because I just can't imagine going to somebody and them being like, oh my word, it's red. Okay, girl, give us nothing, I guess. That's just one way that I think, you can really name your products. If you can't simulate that texture, I think name already is a good place to start. And remember how I told you that I was going to talk about why this is mostly around beauty and fashion? It's because of the fact that a lot of the time, beauty and fashion are ways in which we can tie together. You can also use edible colors, yellow, pinks, frosting colors, light pastels. Sometimes it's cherry lacquer. It's these deep reds. I mean, for example, I know there's a Fenty gloss that has like a beautiful cherry color. You put that next to cherries, bing bang boom. I'm thinking about eating a cherry right now. I'm not sure if they're in season. Actually need to go to Woolworths and go check that out. If you guys are in South Africa, you'll know what Woolworths is. And it's just something that like you can really just taste just by looking at it. If you have, for example, something that is a pastel pink, then maybe you want to put it together with a pink frosting or strawberry ice cream. And that goes back to naming the products. Maybe instead of naming your lipstick petal pink, you name it strawberry ice cream. And already people are like, ooh, this is either going to smell like strawberry ice cream or it's going to look like it. So which one is which? Another thing is playing with the packaging texture. I mean, for example, something that I think is really cool is when packaging is done in a way that is very unlike the product that is being used. For example, a macaroon, kind of being the packaging for lip balm, or kind of using bakery packaging, like a bakery cake box to put in like makeup or like hair care products. And I just think there's something really cute about that, because it's taking this other part of the world and placing it within your product. And that's also a form, like I said, a form of world building. Maybe your beauty brand is a brand that is like a beauty bakery, and you give everything with like food branding as if it was a real bakery. Potential pop-up idea when your brand gets bigger is to have an actual bakery. The opportunities are endless here. You can really do something cool with that. I think packaging texture, scent marketing. Once again, we'll get into scents in another episode. But there's something so nice about smelling a product that sounds exactly like the scent. Okay, if you're promising me buttery popcorn, I sure as hell am gonna hope that this thing smells like buttery popcorn. Because the last thing that I'm doing is you literally clickbaiting me. I say clickbait. Wow, that's so funny. Imagine saying clickbait in real life. Like, oh my word, you just clickbaited me. Imagine clickbaiting me in real time with your product being like, oh yes, strawberry ice cream. And then it smells nothing of the sort. Like, okay, that was kind of on me for buying it because it literally could have just been the way that it looks. But I just think the scent just adds a little bit more. I think another way you can do that is just kind of like having moments of indulgence within your branding. However that looks to you is completely up to your interpretation. But I hope that this episode has given you a lot of ideas of where you can perhaps go with it. There's so many ways that you can really make things special for people. If your product feels like a craving, you'll never need to chase that customer because the customer will be coming back for more each and each time. If your brand is that good, you don't have to shout from the rooftops because people will already know you're there. I think there's something really cool that we can learn from all of this. Sometimes branding is not getting somebody really cool to be behind your brand. Sometimes branding is not getting an amazing famous designer to create a logo that looks brilliant and could win 5 Cannes awards. Sometimes it's placing a peach next to a peach colored makeup tube and making something look like it's straight out of the grocery store. I think there's something really beautiful in that. I didn't want to use the word cool again because I feel like I've used the word cool way too many times. And that is a wrap on the first episode. Wowie! I hope you have learned something if you've gotten this far, or if you haven't, I hope my ramblings have been entertaining enough for you and your snack, because I hope you had a snack during this. If you would like to know more about me, you can follow my Instagram, Adored by Amy. You can also follow my illustration Instagram if you're more interested in my illustration/design work at Season of the Witch. I will put the spelling out there because it is not spelled the way you think it is. Subscribe to my Spotify, subscribe to my YouTube. I also have a Substack where I will be typing because I love yapping, but I also love writing. So heck, you are really in for something. And once again, guys, I hope you have a great time. Next episode is next week, so get comfortable because if it is new, it will be here. Bye, guys.